Okay, great. If this were a popularity contest, we know who's winning.
Why wouldn't I do it? I would happily do it.
Thank you so
This
much
is
for
lies, huh? These are lies, Gooey. These are lies.
That is not sustainable growth. That will not last you very long.
This is what they wanted to create.
It's all
UEFA's
about the money, yeah. It's all about the money.
It is.
It is.
That's a fact.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of All About Sports, the podcast. I am Aniket, and I have with me my co-host Rishabh, Shobham, and Mazhar. Before we dive into today's topic, I'll let you know that we've covered probably every sport under the sun. Okay, not every, but we are on our way there. We recently did an episode on snowboarding and baseball with our good friend Leo. So you can check that out on our channel. Of course, IGTV link is probably something you're watching it on or YouTube, and we also are across all possible audio platforms. So, topic for today, let's dive in. We've had a phenomenal week in terms of sports news, especially football, and it's more content than two transfer windows combined in terms of news. So the ESL was announced and kind of got disbanded as well. So fun times, right, for football news and football fans. Protests being held outside English stadiums. Vehement takes on the ESL on the leading broadcast channels by some football pundits, former players, fans in fan calls, team calls with owners, apology statements from some owners because that's how bad it got. Um, let's be honest, it was money hungry, greedy, not well thought of. And I'm going to let one of you guys take the lead on why that was the case because I think it's pretty well established that it was a greedy move on part of most of those involved.
So I can no, I can take the first pass. I don't think there is any secrets to the fact that it was meant for big clubs to earn more money, right? I think at the end of the day, there's been frustration for some time with the UEFA Champions League for how they've distributed essentially TV right revenues across the teams in Europe, and essentially the 12 biggest teams across the three of the four major leagues in the major leagues of European football, right? England, Italy, and Spain were definitely just frustrated with it. There is a huge difference in earnings. We have to be honest about that. The 12 founding clubs of the European Super League would believe that they could earn about 4 billion per season from media and marketing rights with this proposed Super League. The UEFA as a whole, both the Champions League and the Europa League, were projected to make somewhere between 3.4 billion and 3.6 billion euros in the coming years with the current format. So there's no question the earnings that these teams would have made from the ESL was far more than anything they would have earned from the Champions League. And obviously, like you said, Gui, that's completely where it came from. From the standpoint of anti-competitive, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We can't really argue that. There would be 12 lock spots, meant to be 15 lock spots, but they weren't able to convince Bayern, Dortmund, and PSG just yet. But they wanted to make it 15 lock spots and 5 rotating, where they kind of haven't made it clear on how those 5 rotating would come in just yet. There's no question it's worse for the Olympiacos and Genks and Fenerbahces and Galatasarays of the world. And frankly, I will make one sentence in the sense that I understand owners wanting to make more money for their team, but we needed to put a system to make sure this didn't happen because it's really, really bad for the smaller teams of Europe. So I'm really happy it stopped. It's definitely from the money perspective. There's a little bit to do with there's a big aspect of ownership seeing higher TV rights in other places, which is what drew them to this. But I'll open it up to you all because I know this is a hot one. We all came into this pretty heated.
Not competing, right? It's a sport. You compete in sports, but you don't want to compete with all teams possible. You don't want to compete on merit. You want to compete on the grounds that you're popular. Okay, great. If this were a popularity contest, we know who's winning. So why are you having this competition? You just want the so-called top teams. When how many was it, Mazhar? 4 teams won out of the 12 on the given date that it was announced. I think only 4 won their games.
No,
Something of that.
So all the Premier League teams drew their games after the Super League was announced. Even United ended up drawing with Leeds. So it
And
was
none of
5
them played
teams.
each other. Yeah,
Eh,
none of
eh,
them played each
and
other.
none of them played each other. So it was quite a shambolic showing. I think Madrid.
Juventus lost.
Yeah,
Juventus lost.
Juventus lost. I think Madrid. Madrid drew.
I think Barca
Athletic,
won.
Barca and Atletico were the only 2 teams to win. Inter drew. AC Milan drew or lost. I'm not sure, but even they didn't. Basically, I don't even think they picked up the 3 points. So only Atletico were the team that ended up winning their game. It's like,
Elite competitors, huh? Elite competitors, these guys.
but
Must say.
I will say in defense of the clubs, one thing in defense of the clubs. Yes, they all sucked that week. I completely admit. How many of these clubs wouldn't be in the Champions League? It's basically England, right? It's essentially Arsenal and Tottenham. I think all the other clubs would still be in the Champions
That's
League. I know they had a crappy
Pretty
week.
much.
Yeah, but I think all the other clubs would be.
Juventus are also on the tenterhooks right now. There's no
That is
guarantee
true.
that they might make it because there's Napoli challenging. Atalanta have gone above them.
Yep.
It's all to play for still in the Italian league as well. So there's no guarantee that Juve would make it. And we're talking about Juventus where Cristiano Ronaldo plays his football. So, I mean, I would still back them to make it, but there's no guarantee there as well. So, you
And
can't
Dortmund, who they
necessarily
were
say-
trying to convince, are not a guaranteed, which makes it even more impressive that Dortmund didn't agree.
So, Krishnan, which now that you mentioned all of this, you explained the ESL format. I think you missed one major team in that entire list that you said these people will miss out. Ajax. We're talking about a 4-time European Cup winning team not even being considered in the entire story just because they have great ethics. That was pretty much the tale of the story, right? If you look at it, Ajax had a strong stand against the entire Super League since the beginning. The talk was there for 3 years. Everyone spoke about it, but no one actually imagined it will translate into something concrete. And well, it did. But Ajax always apparently had taken a stand against it.
So the way I look at this now, there are two sides to this for me, quite clearly. One is the moral argument, and one is the business argument. The moral argument with the entire structure of the Super League: 15 teams are guaranteed, 5 teams. I think 5 teams based on your previous season performance, they get in a slot in the Super League. That the fact that 15 teams can never get relegated and they always have a spot is against what football is for everyone. Football is all about relegation and making it there. The reason the Champions League is such a prestigious league is because everyone competes in the National League to get the top 4, top 3 slots, make it to the Champions League, and that's the whole glory of the competition. So Super League in that respect loses it. Now there's a business argument, strictly from the viewpoint of the owners, which I don't think is wrong. I think it's absolutely. If I was in the place of the owners, I think I would have done the same thing. If I'm getting a chance to make around 300, 400 million, I don't know the exact figure, but 300, 400 million guaranteed every single season. And if you win the Super League, an additional 500 million, why wouldn't I do it? I would happily do it. And also a lot of people said that they would be thrown out of the Premier League or the Champions League. I don't think any of the clubs said that they want to leave the Premier League or the Champions League. I think, and also there was a lot of discussion that maybe they would not really feel the best 11 for the Premier League or the Champions League. See, when it comes to the Premier League, I highly doubt that any team would not do it. For example, United. We are 20-time Premier League champions, the highest in England. I don't see a reason as to why United would feel the reserve team or the under 21 team. I think winning the Premier League, winning the National League is a matter of pride, which I think every team in the Super League would also do. But yeah, definitely the Champions League would take a backseat, and the Super League would be where they would be feeling the main strong starting 11. And I don't see anything wrong in that, because after all, I think every sport is a business, and if you get an opportunity to make a shit ton of money, I think it's absolutely fine. Why not go ahead with it?
My only argument against this is that they're already making a shit ton of money, which they would then amplify to compete against clubs which they are not allowing to make that shit ton of money based on merit. You're saying that there is no meritorious ground on which you can come into the Super League other than those 5 spots, all right, based on which you will also make that same kind of money, which
Yeah,
is my
but
only.
I don't have to. Like if, for example, the IPL. Now I'll have to frame this example properly. Now, see, in the IPL, the popular teams, so as to say, you might have a KKR because it's Shah Rukh Khan owned. You have a CSK, which is MS Dhoni, and like
RCB,
say Mumbai
Kohli.
Indians. Mumbai Indians, and RCB. These 4 teams. Now, if these 4 teams decide we will play in the IPL, but at the same time we'll have a competition where only the 4 of us will keep playing each other throughout the season and make a shit ton of money. Yeah, in the IPL we are making money, but if I have a chance to make more money, why wouldn't I do it? There's nothing wrong in
So
that.
Malu, one thing I want to quickly, and I think this ties into the format a little bit. So I want to just quickly give a quick debrief on what the format is for the ESL. So super quickly, like we said, 15 teams locked, 5 teams rotating. There'll be 2 groups of 10 teams playing home and away games. So there'll be home and away game. Basically, it's like a league format. The top 3 of each group go into the semis automatically. 4 and 5 play a playoff for the remaining spot. And then there is a quarters and semis, 2 legs for the quarters and semis, home and away, and then a final in a neutral venue. So Malu, I don't understand how it would at any way be feasible to have both tournaments for these teams. These teams are already
And
competing.
both tournaments, you mean UCL and
Yeah,
the
there is
Super-
absolutely no way to play both tournaments. They're going to have a 20-team league. You'll have to play 9 teams home and away with your regular League Cup this season. So you have to play 9 other teams in your league before going into the semi. So it just won't be feasible to compete in both. And the
I
fundamental,
totally agree with you that
Yeah.
if you have the Super League and the Champions League as midweek fixtures, so basically you're playing weekend, that's 1 fixture, a Super League fixture and a Champions League fixture, that's 3 fixtures in a week. And that's insane. And I don't think a squad of 25 that's listed for the Premier League
Exactly.
or I think for the Champions League would be able to do that for the Super League. But then there's high chances that they would just field a shitty team for the Champions League. And I think that was the idea behind it, that to field your best 11 or travel with your best squad for the Super League, and Champions League gets a backseat. And see, I just feel like when, obviously, if you're competing for a trophy, you always field your best 11. That is the moral way to go about things. But when there's so much money on the line, obviously they wouldn't care about the Champions League. I think the whole idea of this was to sabotage the Champions League and
It
tell
was.
UEFA and Champions League, fuck you. We aren't going to be governed by you. We will take our money and we'll do whatever we want to do with it because we have a brand and we are super powerful. I think that was the idea.
It was. So the Champions League was never going to exist, and that's why all these directors of these football clubs left the organization, right? They all backed out of the European Football Association at the end of the day. But Shubham, the main thing, like you said, is that the Premier League will not take a back seat. It's a prestigious tournament. I'm not going to deny that. And it wouldn't take a back seat potentially as well. But that's not the entire concept or what's wrong with the Super League. What's entirely wrong with the Super League, apart from the promotion relegation, was that this money was meant for ill doing. What I mean by ill doing is they just wanted, the owners wanted it for themselves. They were not going to reinvest that money. And that's where my
That's not
problem
mentioned
is.
anyway, right?
It's
That's
not
No,
mentioned, but there's enough
I-
proof of it. There's
So, but-
enough
but-
proof of that.
Muzz, I will push back a little bit on that, because in the structure of the ESL itself, there is a certain amount that is given specifically for infrastructure development. And I'm trying to look at the exact amount that. will be
Yes,
provided.
Krishnan, but there are easy ways, and we all know this, for people to cook their books. They all
see, what
do
you're
it. They
saying,
make
Mazhar-
fake.
Right.
They make fake bills, and they've done it time and again. And I'm telling you this from
what you're saying-
personal
what you're saying,
experience,
Mazhar-
because I've seen all of this, Shubham. I'm talking from the Glazers' point of view as well. If you look at Manchester United, they've not invested a penny back into revamping of the stadium. They've not invested at all around the stadium to improve stuff. We have dead grass over there around the stadium. It's wild grass growing. You're talking about the biggest football club in the world, and they don't have a sort of museum structure or anything around to give you that sort of entry to say that, wow, I'm walking into the theater of dreams.
So I want to ask you one
Sorry.
question.
Zero
then,
part
Mazhar.
two.
I want to ask you one
And
question.
zero part two.
If the owners, see, I totally agree with you that what the owners might show that, okay, on paper, that this is the amount of money will be reinvested in infrastructure. All that can just be like basically a load of shit. They might take all the money for themselves, and rightfully so. I think 90% of them might be doing it also, because that's the way the world works, and that's the way everyone is money hungry. But what I want to ask you is, if the owners would say, and they would actually do it, we'll be part of the Super League, we'll make 300 odd million every single year, and out of that money that we make, certain percentage of it would be reinvested back in the club for development of the club, the youth system, whatever. Would you be fine with it then? And would you be like, okay, pro
See,
Super League?
I'm never going to be pro Super League, period, because at the end of the day, for me, competition matters the most. for us growing up, seeing that pyramid system, because that's how football was set up, is what you want. Let's not forget the Premier League was a breakaway league themselves from the English football system. There was a lot of backlash around that, but the difference was they managed to come to a good conclusion with and an agreement with the FA, and that's why it succeeded. And it's become a blueprint for football leagues around the world. That's why football has developed in all of the smaller nations as well, because of the pyramid system. You destroy the pyramid system, you create a super league, you basically literally bring that entire franchise system in. This is what they wanted to create. So this had to be nipped in the bud. I agree from a business standpoint and the moral standpoint, but I can never ever say that I am for the Super League. Even as a business owner, at the end of the day, fine, obviously, I would want my employees to be happy. I would want my shareholders to be happy. The fact that you don't take a call with your shareholders or have a discussion around it, fine, you are the board, you make the decisions at the end of the day, but you run surveys before that, you run questionnaires before that, you do so much of back-end work, you work with consultants before you come to a decision. I'm talking about purely from a business point of view, because you said every sports club is also a business, right? It would never work like this. It was disgraceful. I'm not even talking from like a sports perspective now. I'm talking about business owners. This is not how any business functions. I'm sorry to say. Greed is one thing, and they completely showed their true colors here. All of these owners.
Mazhar mentioned how that we've grown up watching the pyramid system. One of the most beautiful seasons of English football I watched is when Swansea came up and they managed to stay there. Me Too scoring 10 plus. It what is that is when you actually understood how good the Premier League is, because I was watching Swansea compete out of
Leicester,
nowhere.
Rui, Leicester. I think Leicester's
Leicester,
the epitome of it, right? We're talking about a team which came up from literally the league, the fourth division, just got promoted, survived relegation. No, but Leicester survived. They just survived relegation, and then the next season they won the damn league. So how will you ever get this, Shubham?
I tell you what, I have a very different viewpoint in this. So I'll explain my viewpoint, and I think Krishnan has something to say. So just give me 2 minutes. I'll explain my viewpoint, then you jump in.
You got it.
So, if, for example, the 20 teams were playing in the Super League, if they hypothetically, and which was largely discussed, they break away from the Champions League. So these clubs are not allowed to participate in the Champions League anymore, and they only participate in the Super League. So now in England, now the general clubs who generally qualify, you have Liverpool. In the last few years, you have Liverpool, you have City, you have Chelsea, and then after that it'll be a United or a Tottenham or something. So for argument's sake, take United. So it's United, Chelsea, City, Liverpool. Now these 4 clubs and Tottenham and Chelsea and Arsenal are not allowed to participate in the UCL. So they are only in the Super League. So it gives an opportunity to a lot of teams who have never played in the Champions League to play in the Champions League. Now, having said that, now these teams play in the Champions League. So obviously for them, there's an additional source of revenue, which would have never happened. Now, as much as I also love a Leicester story or a Swansea story, those are stories that happen like once in a blue moon. But now every season, consistently, you're getting clubs to play in the Champions League who would have never played in the Champions League on a consistent basis. And similarly, that trickles down to the Europa League and now to the Euros, Conference League, or whatever these guys are setting up. Now, as these clubs get more money, because they have more money, then that trickles down in the pyramid system. When it comes to transfers, they can pay the lower league clubs more money to buy their players. So I think everyone would benefit.
No,
So Malu, I want to quickly just jump in on this point, because I've heard this trickle down argument a few times, and here's the issue, Malu. Take a game in the UEFA Champions League, Arsenal versus Olympiacos. Who is the money generator in that situation? It's Arsenal. There's no question about it, right? When you take out Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Tottenham, Manchester City, Liverpool from the UEFA Champions League, the UEFA Champions League is essentially worth nothing. It's not valuable that the teams from 5 to 8 are going in. I know you're arguing that they'll be in this new tournament. The monetary value of the UEFA Champions League drops to a massive level. So them being in this additional tournament is not this huge gain that you're portraying it to seem. And let's not forget, Malu, in the last 3 seasons, let's look at the Premier League table this year, right? In the Premier League table this year, there is Leicester City in third, and there's West Ham in fifth, 3 points behind Chelsea. There is a lot of shape shifting in the Premier League. Premier League is one of these special years. Last year was the normal top four, but there is a lot of shape shifting in the sense that we are seeing each year there's a potential for at least potentially one club to maybe come in, right? Like a Leicester City came in 2016. Last year this year there'll be an opportunity for a Leicester, potentially a West Ham. It may not happen in the end. So when you say that these guys will get this new opportunity, it's not the same opportunity. It's a very, 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 very diminished opportunity. It's not the same thing. And Malu, let's talk. So I can even potentially give into your argument that, sure, maybe football might grow in the 3 big leagues that have joined this, because maybe more teams start. There's a hypothetical that like Arsenal has more revenue that'll somehow stream down to like the other teams in England. What about the other countries, man? This is objectively worse for football teams in smaller countries that aren't in these major leagues, right? I'm talking about the teams like Ajax, like a Dutch league. I'm talking about the Turkish league. I'm talking about the Greek leagues. This is objectively worse for them because their biggest opportunity is to come into this Champions League and play against the big names of Europe in the 3 major leagues. So my whole issue with it is just that the distribution of football is now going to be consolidated to these 3 major clubs as compared 3 major leagues and probably just a subset within those leagues as compared to the distribution across Europe. And I don't think this argument you're making of like more teams will get into the UCL means anything, because it's a valueless tournament once you take out the 12 maybe 15 big guys. It's essentially valueless. They generate their money from this.
Broadcast channels are going to shift. They are going to essentially devote fewer funds to
that argument is 100% valid. That, say for example, I don't know exactly how much the Champions League makes every year, but say if participating in the Champions League means you get a kitty of another £30 million or $30 million, again, like those numbers I don't know, just for example's sake, maybe if these teams move out, the kitty might come down to like 7 million, 8 million, maybe 5 million, maybe 10 million. Maybe it will diminish that much. And I highly anticipate it would happen. But still, that much money, like an additional 10 million, would be a lot more for a club like Leeds, which has never participated for the last God knows how many years, for a club like West Ham, which has never participated. And now, if you remove the top 6 from England, you have 4 teams for the Champions League, 2 teams for Europa League, and 1 team for the Conference Cup, which is about to start, which would have never, ever happened. So some additional money is better than no money at all. And then if you really outperform and you do brilliantly well, like for example, Leicester City, then you get a chance to play in the ESL, in the Europe Super League. And that's when you make big money also. Because there are 5 slots available, right? There are 5 slots available.
See, that's where
you have to splendidly outperform. They're already outperforming half of them. That's the point. They're already outperforming half of them, and there is a spot for them in the Premier European competition, which somehow, because I am more popular than the other clubs, I say is not that anymore. It's this one where I play. Yeah, I am going to a different competition, which is now magically the Premier competition in Europe, because we are more popular. Doesn't make sense, right?
Shubham,
You don't have merit on you.
So Shubham, you exactly what Gui said. What happens is, let's take this season only. I think this season's the perfect example. West Ham City are 4th, ahead of Chelsea and Liverpool right now. Liverpool will already have permanent slots in the Super League, and there's only maybe going to be 1 slot available for the English team there. Let's just say that 1 slot's available. That will go to Leicester. Even though West Ham finished in 4th, they don't get a spot in the Super League. And don't you see there's something wrong there? They strive to manage to finish ahead of Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal. 3 teams that are and Spurs, 4 teams that are occupying spots in the Super League. It's just criminal, right? Don't you see?
That comes down to defining. That comes down to defining what it means to outperform. So for a Leicester to finish in the top 4 or top 6 might not be outperforming, because sort of you expected Leicester to challenge. But for a West Ham to finish in the top 4 can be considered as outperforming, because you never expect them to. So that comes down to how do you define it as to what is considered as an outperforming season.
No, I'll tell you, I'll define outperforming for you in this scenario. If you're saying you're six biggest clubs in England, you have to finish top six every time. Every time.
Exactly.
And any time you're not in the top six, you do
No,
not top.
the six
And someone
biggest
else is
clubs in
outperforming
England
you.
have not been considered for the Super League based on the league position. They've been considered based on the brand value.
Correct. If sport were about brand value, then this league is fine, but it's not.
So
But the
Malu,
idea of the league is only brand value, na. That is what I'm
But-
getting at.
no, and that's what we
The idea
find
of the league
troubling.
has
That's
never
what,
been about league position.
No, no,
It's
no,
only
but-
about what you bring to the table and how much you can generate for us.
Right, and Malu, what's troubling about it is when a team like a Leicester City, right, wins the league or qualifies for third and fourth, right, there should be a huge monetary benefit to them doing that. And what's happening right now is if Leicester City wins the league, right, if they win the league, say, the biggest financial gainer the next year with the European Super Cup might still be an Arsenal who finishes 11th. They might still be the team to earn way more than all the teams performing. And I understand the basis is brand value, but that is problematic because we are creating a system in which essentially the wealthy teams are entering a privileged club and shutting the door behind them. Fundamentally, how do teams evolve? If you want to create more teams, if you want to create more teams that become greater and get more attention, become bigger in size, you have to give them the opportunity to grow, right? The reason Arsenal's been able to grow over so many years and United's been able to grow is because they've had continued success, right? It hasn't been just based off like when in 1930s when United formed, everyone's like, I really like red. Let's join them. It's because they've had continued success, and continued success tied to monetary gain, which allowed them to spend more in the transfer market, build better facilities, bring in better players. What this system is essentially saying is, at this point, let's stop it now. At this point, we don't want any more growth of a club to be based on success. Let's cut that off here and let's make it purely based on what it's been historically. So you're not giving a Leicester City, an RB Leipzig, a Werder Bremen a chance to say, man, we found a way to be successful. We now deserve to be paid in a way that we can grow to be a Manchester City or a Manchester United. Why not give those teams that opportunity? Because the only reason Arsenal or Tottenham or Chelsea or Bayern Munich or Real Madrid have grown to be what they are is because they've had success over time and been able to build that up.
But I tell you what, I see your argument that you make that perhaps the other teams, their growth would be stunted or it would be controlled based on what the other 14 or 15 clubs in the Super League are doing. I have a different, I kind of disagree with it only in terms of money. Now, the reason I disagree is, say you guys support Arsenal, okay? You and Gui, you'll support Arsenal. You're in the Super League. And now you guys are both interested in a player at Leicester. Similarly, like you guys, Mazhar and I support United. There'll be City, there'll be Real Madrid. Now, there are 3-4 Super League clubs interested in a player at Leicester. It will lead to a bidding war. Transfers, I think it would become very common to see 100 million plus transfers happening in the transfer market. And that would mean Leicester as a club could sell their players for like 100, 150 million.
Malu,
so much more money, which wouldn't have happened before.
Malu, the fundamental greatest sustainable growth of a club comes from TV and media rights. Fundamentally. And the best way to
But in
grow
the Premier League, they are making money, no?
No. Yeah, they are making money. But my point is the fundamental growth of a club is through TV and media rights. So the best way to grow your club is to play against the best teams, bring spotlight to your team, bring more eyeballs, and then get them to play, and then get additional TV and media rights. So an Olympiacos or Fenerbahce playing Arsenal, you start to see Fenerbahce, you start to see, I recognize this player, I recognize Robin Van Persie, I start watching them. Transfer market is an unsustainable way to grow your club. Yeah, you might have you might have like a Riyad Mahrez once. That's not a way to sustainably grow your club. The best way, fundamentally, 80 to 90% of revenue generation from clubs is TV and media rights. And the best way to get TV and media rights is to play in the biggest tournaments against the biggest names. And that's the best way to grow your team sustainably. Transfer market is not a sustainable way to grow. Yeah, you might have the one-off Gareth Bales leaving Southampton. And yeah, you might have the one-off players from Lyon coming through. That is not sustainable growth. That will not last you very long. The best way for sustainable growth is TV media rights. And the best way to do that is to play the best clubs, which is what the Champions League does.
When you lose a player worth 100 million, the idea behind that 100 million is to spend it on buying 3 players who can cover for him. It's not going to be, let me invest in my academy and have 4 other players come up. It's not going to be, let me have better seats for fans, let me have better facilities at the stadium. None of that is, you can't think of transfer revenue as a way to fund your club. Now, why I'm saying that is because Jadon Sancho, Manchester City export, right? He was at Watford as a youth player. What it My point being that if transfers were the only way to generate money, Watford hasn't made any money from Sancho. You're talking about 100 million player, right? And so my point is that they were not
That's a
going to make
different kind of
sustainable
transfer you're talking about, Gui. I'm
No,
talking about like a
no,
proper.
you're talking about 100 million plus transfer. So am I. And why I'm saying it is
No,
because
you're talking about
where
a
the
100 million plus transfer after like you after moving on to 3 different clubs and actually becoming a world class player. At Watford, he must have been in the youth academy. City must have poached him. So that's a very different scenario, right?
So Malu,
my point being that Watford, he was a Watford youth player, right? Watford made no money from him. Correct. He found himself at City. City made some money, and Dortmund is set to make the most money from him. Correct.
Malu,
Where is the money for the smallest team in
Malu,
the pyramid?
also, what's disappointing about, see, what's frustrating is two things. You're assuming two things. One, you're assuming that because the bigger clubs, their revenue increases a huge, their amounts increase a much, they're willing to spend a lot more on the transfer market, which is not necessarily true because we also know
See,
that.
I tell you why that will happen. See, firstly, I agree with you guys that transfer market is not a sustainable business model.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that that is the way how other clubs are going to sustain themselves. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's one of the ways. And the reason I believe it will increase is because after the Premier League sold their rights previously for a record high, you see how the transfer market has been inflated. Previously, did we ever hear of players going for like 200 million, 150 million, 100 million, and especially to English clubs? It's because there's that much more money available.
But Malu, here's the frustrating thing about your model. Your model, two things. So one, sure, maybe the transfer market goes up a little bit, but again, I think you would agree it's not a sustainable version because not all small clubs will have talent that are worth that much. Most transfers are still worth like 10 to 15 million. So it's not gonna. I don't think that it's a sustainable way to grow. One. Second thing is, Malu, your entire system is building out a Dortmund model. Your entire system says if you're really successful and you do really well in the league, the best outcome for you is that you can sell your players and make a bit of money. You will never be able to sustainably keep those players. Well, we're saying if you are really successful and Leicester City finds a way to win the Premier League, give them the monetary benefit to like maybe keep some of those players. Your whole argument is like the best thing that can happen to a successful team is that they lose all their players and they make a bit of money and go back
That's
to
a
eighth in the
fact,
league.
right? That happens anyway.
But we're trying to make it change, and the best way to make it change is to keep giving them attention, right? The reason why Leicester City can spend more now than they can in 2016, the reason they can now potentially keep a Kasper Schmeichel, they could potentially keep a Jamie Vardy.
But they lost Mahrez, they lost Maguire, and they lost. I think Kante was also in Leicester when they won.
Yeah, they lost. No,
They lost their three main players who helped them in the league.
They did, but they did. But I'm saying other teams might be able to keep people, like give them the chance to keep people. There's some teams that might still be able to keep
also
people.
they sold
Like-
Maguire for 80, Mahrez I think for 50, 60, and Kante also for around 50 million. That's only because of the TV money that was involved, and City and Chelsea and United had that sort of money. Otherwise, these players wouldn't have sold for more than like 30 million back in the day.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
With
right?
the Super
But
League,
Shubham, that's
this
the
money would
difference.
inflate to 100 million.
But that's the difference. Leicester would have probably won the league again. You never know. Because those players would have never left then. Because if then these big clubs wouldn't have been able to afford them. You could have seen
And then-
Leicester becoming champions again.
Then you're adding to Leicester's brand
These
value,
players
and
would have
maybe-
still left the club
No, who if no one can
because
pay, why
everyone
would
would
they
want
leave
to
the
play
club?
for a United.
But
Everyone
if-
would want to play
but
for a
if they
City.
don't have
Everyone
that
would
Not if
want
you
to
can
play.
pay. Not if you can pay. Not if you can pay. City doesn't have some great history. Why do people go to City? City is not. It's like an iconic club from the past. People
For
go
the
to City
money
because they can
and
pay.
because they have better chances of winning trophies.
Exactly. So give other teams the opportunity to make more money, and the best way for them to give an opportunity to make more money is to start to
Not steal
develop
their
and
players.
grow.
Not
Like
steal their players.
You're
yeah,
telling me.
you're-
So 1 minute,
Well,
Shubham.
if it's about giving all the clubs equal opportunity to make the same amount of money, then the way distribution and broadcasting rights is done in Spain, and I even think in Italy, it's not fair because Real Madrid and Barcelona, they get to dictate their own terms. In the Premier League, it's very fair. It's evenly spread out, I believe. But in other leagues, that's not the case.
No, Malu, we
That is
understand.
also a flawed
So,
system.
Malu, there can be a distribution in difference in broadcasting rights based on how much you're bringing into stadiums. I understand that, but what it shouldn't be is when a Leicester City can win the Premier League, and there is no tournament when the tournament that exists to benefit the players who are the most successful in the league is now paying out less than this random other tournament. Again, like my point being, if Leicester City wins the Premier League, Arsenal will make
Automatically
more than
qualify
them.
for the Super League. They take one of the 5 slots.
What
Malu,
happens
with
to the
5
team which
slots? We
finishes
don't. Nobody
second?
even knows how these 5 slots work. If you're not going to give the
But-
Champions League the benefit of like of saying that that there's a potential for them to like make a bunch of money, you can't. Why do you think those 5 slots will be given to one more Premier League team? There is no evidence of how they're going to fill those 5 slots, Malu. There's absolutely no
Yeah,
evidence.
fair enough. There's no evidence, but
There's
I'm
no
just
evidence.
assuming if you outperform, you get a slot. So
But what is the definition for outperform, Malu? What is your definition
exactly.
for
So that is
So-
exactly the point I brought up. Right? I don't know the definition.
Right, so you can't give but to be fair, you can't give the European Super League. Like I'll agree with maybe if you want to take the side of the owner, right, and say like, hey, maybe they're not going to like be screwed up and completely waste the Super League money. We also have to be fair and say like this is a complete hypothetical, right? Like maybe we can say like, yeah, maybe they would pick like a random like Olympiacos or something to come into the Super League, but fundamentally, based on the structure of it, it wasn't built for the growth of football globally. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. I understand it. A lot of teams are in debt. They're trying to make a quick buck. I understand it. That's completely understandable. But the assumption that they're somehow going to bring in small teams is completely hypothetical. I don't have any faith in it because they fundamentally limited the number of teams that can be brought in because they've restricted it to literally 5 teams as compared to the UCL, which allows so many more teams based on performance. So it is just unfortunate. See, Malu, I understand. Like, see, current scenario. The truth is, a Manchester City, an Arsenal, a United bring in more seats than any other club. I completely
Manchester
understand.
City? No.
Manchester's, yeah.
Please,
Oh no,
don't go there.
maybe not.
Don't go there.
But how does that change? That changes by allowing more people to get investors. How does that change? By giving them more eyeballs. And the best way to allow them to get more eyeballs is by being successful. What these teams are essentially doing is, hey man, we're in this really good spot. Let's close the door behind us. So now when people see it, it's all us, and more money just comes into us than to the other teams. And those teams deserve an opportunity to have sustainable growth through investment when they're successful. And fundamentally, it's frustrating. Like, how does a Manchester City happen, man? A Manchester City happens by...
Really, what you touched upon a great point where you spoke about how these like the big clubs are basically the clubs that help bring in the major chunk of the broadcasting money. So in the Champions League, if these clubs stick around in the Champions League becomes this glorified competition, making a lot of money and distributing this money because of the big clubs. Now, maybe somewhere, like, I don't know how the money is distributed, and I don't think it's distributed equally. So for the owners of the Champions League also, for the owners of these big clubs, it is an issue, right? If my club is helping you generate this much money and you don't give me this sort of money, it's not fair. I'm just talking strictly from a business point of view.
No, and here's why it is fair. So I want to quickly, super quickly, I'm sorry to hog the mic. I just want to quickly talk about how the money works in UEFA, and then I'll shut up. Totally, they make about like 3.2, around like 3.5 is approximately how much they make in commercial revenues, and it's distributed into a few different pots. So there's a starting fee pot, which like each of the 32 teams make. There's a performance-based pot. So paid, like if you win in the group stage, you get 2.7 million euros. If you win for a draw in the group stage, you get 900,000 euros. You get 9.5 million euros for progression to round of 16. So they're different performance-based awards. And there's a coefficient, then there's a coefficient pot which is divided amongst teams that's based on their ranking in like a 32, in like UEFA's coefficient of like club success. And then, Malu, there already exists a TV market-based pool worth 292 million, which is based on the value of each team or club's the club or league's TV market. So it already does exist. Now, admittedly, it isn't as skewed as the groups would like it. But Malu, it is fair in a sense. They were just born into this huge pool, right? It's not like the Glazers have formed what United is today. They've not formed this. It's not like they've just come into it. They've come into it. And they should be slightly responsible for the growth of other teams as well. It's not that United's success is owed to the people who've owned it in the last 10 years. Neither is Arsenal's, neither is City's maybe.
Definitely.
City's is definitely. But they're essentially buying into it, right? It's not like, and so that's how the fundamental basis of sport should be, of course, there's a difference in how people in fans for like how many fans you have per club. Of course, there's a difference, but we should be trying to grow football to get more fans to different clubs rather than saying we have the most fans, we should make the most money, we should keep growing our fans. Doesn't matter if your fans grow. Sure, there can be a little bit of a distribution difference, but not to the extent that it destroys the other. It doesn't help grow the fan base of other teams.
But that
A
is what
small
like
example, not to
Sure,
be
sure, sure.
not in a banterous way, okay, but Spurs is probably 12th in those 12 teams in terms of brand value. All right. My point being, when did that brand value arise? If you're talking about it's been around since the 1900s, the answer is no. All right. It's happened in the recent years when you saw Pochettino pick that team up with good players, and that happened naturally, right? In the progression of what the league has been, what the FA Cup has, what the domestic leagues have been, and when the first when they made it to the Champions League, it was a massive event for them, right? And you saw that happen. You saw a club which was not historically part of the Premier competition try and battle it out each year for that spot. And then you realize, then people started, following that club. I have been to a screening where there are more Spurs fans. I mean, this is specifically a Spurs fan screening, but there are fans because you watch them in the last 4 or 5 years organically grow to be a competitive side. Now, what you're saying is, what Krishnan said, sorry, that these teams want to shut the door behind them. So the only time this would have been fair is if at the start of organized football, someone said that, come 2021 April, we are going to announce a league where the top 12 brand value teams are going to form a separate league and earn the most money. It's not announced. What is the cutoff date for assessing this brand value or this popularity or who's generating the most money? You let so Leicester City basically stops accumulating that brand value, right? If you don't give them that chance, if you say that, well, this is not the Premier competition anymore, what's the point? So
Yeah.
okay, so fewer people watch that, fewer people see, fewer people have that aura about Leicester City. Okay, this team made it from nothing to the Champions League consistently. That's the point which I think Krishnan and Mazhar have tried to make in terms
then
of
aura will
accumulating brand
automatically
value over time. You have
the
to
aura will
accumulate.
automatically increase if Leicester City make it to the Super League. It will be a bigger aura. It will be like, wow, dude, this team made it to the
No,
Super League.
But
no,
there's
but
Malu, there's
chances of
absolutely
getting to the
no
Super
evidence
League
they'd make
is
it. They'd make it to the
small.
Super League.
And-
See,
and
Malu,
see,
see,
one
Malu,
more
if
No,
you're
thing-
these
making
are all
that argument,
ifs. Guys,
No, no, see,
I think to summarize this, basically, Shubham is of the belief that the team that manages to, and Shubham, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, let's say in this coming season, suppose if Leicester won the league, Sevilla won the league in Spain, and in Italy, Napoli won the league. You are saying these three teams would get the spots, right? All right.
I am saying
Put-
these teams, based on what the definition of outperform is, which I don't know if it was better described, if they fit in that category of yes, they have outperformed, then they fit.
That's
into the
where
top
I
five.
think there's a major discrepancy in your thought, because it will be, they will still pick those teams as long as they manage to succeed, obviously manage to finish in the top four. A West Ham would be picked then, because West Ham has a huge fan following. West Ham has lots of season ticket holders. West Ham generates a lot of revenue because they are a London based club. They would get the spot over Leicester, even if West Ham would have potentially finished second and Leicester would have won the league. That's where the entire system fails. And I can guarantee you it would have been the case like this, because this is all they cared about, brand value, like you said. And don't you just see how scary that system is then? Because even if Leicester finished higher, no,
yeah,
it
but
would have
Malu,
been like
even
this.
yours is not factual. To be fair, even yours is not factual. You have no
I
basis
am
for
saying, I am
yeah.
saying, I don't
So-
know
so
what the definition.
I'm saying
So
the
you're-
same thing.
so Malu,
I'm
you're
the
just
same thing.
saying-
I'm defining the outperforming thing. If you, because when we are saying if Leicester finish first, they would get the spot, but then you're saying no, they wouldn't. So then I'm putting in the
I'm not saying
brand
that.
value
I'm not saying
aspect.
that. I'm
So
not saying
then-
that. Maybe
no, but you already debated it, right?
Malu,
The point was, you said if Leicester wins the league and West Ham finishes second, you are saying Leicester will get that spot. Fine.
no,
Leicester will,
I am saying in that situation, West Ham deserve the spot. I said that
exactly.
previously
So
also.
that's exactly what I'm trying to say, right? That comes down to brand value. It's not going to come down to the fact that West Ham
No,
managed
but
to
I
finish second.
honestly think West Ham have overachieved and they've done much better than Leicester.
How? No,
based
that's
on West Ham's
ridiculous.
history. Based on West Ham's history, for West Ham to finish second, I think is a far bigger achievement than for Leicester
No
to finish
chance.
first.
Leicester have only done well in 2 seasons over their entire
Wait,
history.
Malu, that's
West Ham
such a
has been a much better club over their history.
Malu,
If you
that is
think-
such a messy way to think about performance. Then you can argue that, bro, it's probably more
Sheffield
impressive that
United or someone
Bournemouth,
should be playing in
that
the
Bournemouth
ESL.
avoided
Exactly.
relegation than Arsenal is in 10th place. I mean, that's such a
See,
messy
that's why I feel.
argument.
That's why I feel when we're discussing about the remaining 5 slots and based on performance, I might be completely wrong in what I'm saying because I don't know the definition. So all of this, we are just assuming things, and to
Right.
like
So, Malu-
further our argument, we are supporting ourselves with
Right.
what
So
the
Malu,
definition could be.
so you're the only situation in which you think this is better for global football and the growth of small teams is if your hypothetical comes true, which we don't know if it will. Our hypothetical may not come true, but the fundamental truth is, at best, there are 5 slots to play with, whereas in the Champions League there are 22. That is the fundamental difference that it comes down to. At best, Malu, at best, your hypothetical comes true, and there's an opportunity for 5 teams in Europe, right? 5 teams. In our situation, in the Champions League that exists today, there are 22 teams, not amongst these big, because all 12 won't qualify. I'd say about 10 qualify. There are about 22 teams that can get that additional boost. In your situation, there are 5 teams that hypothetically, best case scenario, they base on performance, but it might not be the case because a lot of this is based on brand value. Again, it's all hypothetical, but only in your hypothetical best case is it potentially better for 5 teams.
See what you said. I agree based on whatever I am thinking hypothetically, which might be totally wrong or correct. Those 5 teams will definitely benefit. But like I said previously, and linking back to our previous argument, if these teams are chucked out of the Champions League, it opens doors for a lot of other teams who would benefit. Even with limited TV revenue, they would benefit because they are seeing money that they would have potentially never seen. So I like see now this is my take on it.
I think we are all we will all have to agree to disagree so that we can move on to
Yeah,
this
just
thing-
one
next
thing.
competition, guys.
Sorry, Gui, just one line I have to say. Shubham, the only thing, and guys, I'm sure even Shubham, you agree with this. The ESL was monopolizing football and absolutely destroying the entire democracy and competition factor that exists, and that makes football a beautiful game. And I'm sure you agree with that. Forget the
So that I
owners; they
agree.
don't
When there's no
understand shit
relegation,
about
promotion
football.
left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't
That's
understand
messed
shit
up.
about football. They don't understand sentiments. They don't give a shit about them either. And they proved it. So it's disgraceful. And that's all I'm going to say.
I can
like I
can
said-
say this as a fan who vehemently let's not use the word, who vehemently dislikes what happened in games against Barcelona for Arsenal. The first time we beat Arsenal in the European Super League, my, that's fun. The second time you do it, if we happen to do it again, all hypothetical, okay, it's not going to be as fun. It's not. Trust me, you do it once in the Champions League, it's going to be a much bigger event. You do it 4 times in the ESL, the charm's going to wear off.
It's all
UEFA's
about the money, yeah. It's all about the money.
It is.
It is.
That's a fact. Just one thought I have, and I want to put it out for you guys and also for our viewers and listeners. The Super League is not taking place as expected. It's I don't know if it's suspended, demolished, or whatever the situation. It's not happening as of now. But if these clubs, okay, the way the Super League was communicated, no relegation, all of the jazz, that's not the way football is. And like I said in the beginning, morally, this is wrong. But still keeping business in mind, if these clubs now decide within themselves, every year they're going to play friendly matches, which they will themselves broadcast and sell the broadcasting rights to XYZ broadcaster and the ticket sales and stuff like that. Who can stop them? They can still make the sort of money they want to, and this will still happen, and this will still give them a financial edge and everything over other clubs. So yeah, just a thought.
It's called pre-season. They do it in the pre-season.
Yeah, like the International Champions Cup that happens. But now this starts happening throughout the season when these big clubs are playing.
Haven't you guys
what
thought
is the restriction that FIFA puts on them or the UEFA puts on them?
No. By the way, Malu, it's not. They are not going to play in the UCL. That's confirmed. They wouldn't play in the UCL in the Super League situation. That's a confirmed thing. They're not playing in both, 100%. So if they agree to still play in the UEFA Champions League and they're just playing these friendlies on the side, I have no issue with it. But if they just stop playing, if this is a breakaway like the Super League is, that's where the problem starts to arise. If they just want to play these friendlies on the side, which believe me, they're not going to agree to, because Gundogan is already complaining about the 4 extra games they have in the Champions League. But sure, if they did this, don't break away from the Champions League, just as an additional way to earn a bit more on the side, no problem with that. They want to play a few more games on the weekend. They want to invite Barcelona to come and play at Tottenham. No issues. Yeah, if they want to do that, that's fine.
So actually, so Shubham, that you brought this up, and Gui, you brought this up, this international cup or whatever. I feel like that was also a sort of prep for the Super League. They were trying to see if it works. Why do you think Spurs were playing against Real Madrid in every preseason that was there? Why do you think Inter was there? I think the owners were already trying like this sort of prototype system before launching it to see what type of viewership it garners. And they were playing where? LA, Atlanta, New York. So that was the entire
played
system.
in the Southeast Asian nations as well. So
Exactly.
So
So they were just testing out markets and trying to see what type of money they can generate through these friendlies, because I'm sure those ticket prices would have been through the roof.
absurd.
There's no doubt about it. So I think it was already in motion through that, and that was their test.
So I think since we've more or less agreed that we prefer the current Champions League format, more or less being the keyword. All right. We have a quick quiz on the Champions League. Malu, Mazhar, Krishnan, gear up. All right. Most goals in
Should
the
we just give Mazhar the win now itself? Should we just hand it to him?
Probably.
Guys, this
start.
is football. Shubham's
Probably.
also there.
All right.
Let's go.
So,
Let's go.
let's be honest about this. We have 2 aliens playing in this generation. All right. Ronaldo has the most Champions League goals. Correct. Before these 2 aliens came along, who had the record?
Guys, fast, man. It's rapid fire.
Raul.
Anyone wants to take a guess as to how many is more than welcome?
So I said Raul, and I think he must have had around. Ronaldo is 100 plus right now, right?
Yep. Ronaldo's close to 130, if I'm not
I don't know,
mistaken.
like maybe around.
I know Ronaldo's exact goals. I don't.
137?
maybe
137?
65, 70.
It's 134, I think.
Oh, Malu, pick 65 or 70.
65.
Okay. Krishnan,
This is wrong, but I'm forgetting George Best, 54.
Oh, you've gone back in
Okay.
time and now.
Krishnan?
It's wrong. It's
sorry.
wrong.
Mazhar?
No,
Mazhar?
Champions League wasn't in there, I think. Back then.
Raul,
No, okay,
it's Raul. 71, I think it was.
Okay, Mazhar, bang on. Rahul, too.
71.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I should get
Malu
1 point
won.
here. I should
Yeah,
get
Malu
one
should
point.
get 1 point.
Yeah,
Malu should
Malu
get 1
gets
point.
Malu.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Malu won.
George
Mazhar 2.
Best. Krishnan, man, I think you do this intentionally sometimes.
This
I
is like his
genuinely
polar
think-
answer.
yeah.
Okay.
That,
Right. Now, something slightly surprising for you guys. Which team has the most minutes without conceding a goal in the Champions League? It's surprising. The answer is surprising. You
Hey,
won't.
give a
you-
hint of the country at least. Yeah.
the country with most teams in the European Super League would have been. Sorry. Yeah. If you're pretty confident, go last. That's all
I'm not.
saying.
No, I'm not. It's I say
Okay.
because they did this in the Premier League, so I'm assuming they did pretty well in the Champions League. Chelsea, but that's about it.
Okay.
Arsenal?
it's
No
Leicester.
fucking way. Are you serious?
Is it Leicester?
It can't be
Yeah,
Leicester.
You guys have,
said this
you
was
guys have
Super
made
League.
your final picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malu, that's 1 point for you. Arsenal
Get
went
the
9.
fuck out of here, Arsenal.
I thought maybe because of the
Yeah,
invincible season. I thought
Gui
maybe
just
because of-
wanted Arsenal to be praised, so he just put this in. Such an asshole, man.
995 minutes.
This
995.
was
They
which season? Which season?
0506. So they conceded 1 goal in the 70th minute odd of the first group stage game, and then they went on to concede the next goal as the winning goal for Barca in the final.
And they got knocked out. na?
Wow.
No, knocked out or they runners up.
Final. This is the
They lost,
2006.
yeah.
We reached the
I
final.
remember that
Wow,
match.
that was a really good season.
Okay. Even
I think Kolo Toure was centre back. Good for him.
okay. Next question is got to do with appearances. All right. There have been some fabulous players who've been around for very long. Seedorf, Maldini, Ronaldo even. Who has the most UCL appearances?
I know this one also. Let's go, guys. Come on, come on, come on.
Hint.
Carlos Puyol.
I love how he
Screw-
said Carlos.
I would
Malu?
go with Buffon.
That's a really good.
Good
It,
shout.
it is a keeper. It is a keeper, but it's Santi Kerr. It's Santi Kerr. I'll tell you how many appearances for this also. 174 or 177. 174. Casillas.
The name is right. The appearances is this close. 177 is 8.
Ah, shit. Yeah. I thought so.
Ronaldo-
Buffon is how many appearances?
I'm not sure I know, but Ronaldo's on 176. So
Yeah. It's 177. Ah, damn. I was confused between the two.
a Ronaldo question because well, this guy deserves like at least 2 or 3 mentions in the Champions League quiz, right? How many hat tricks has he scored? Like he scored a lot of hat tricks, all right? It's how many? What is the maximum number he scored in one season? If you can name the season, it's a bonus point.
I'll say I can't be more than 3, but that seems super high in 2014-15.
I would say 2. And this season is the time when he scored against Wolfsburg the hat trick. It's that season. When was that season? That was Mourinho's, I think, second year in charge or third year. When did Mourinho fucking join Real Madrid, man? Fergie retired in 2013.
What was the
Give-
team, Malo, you said? What was the team he
give
scored
me
that
an
trick against?
Wolfsburg, he scored a hat trick. I think it's that only season when he scored another one. Fucking against Bayern, he scored a hat trick.
That's 2015. That's 2016-17. No, but that's
Krishnan,
not-
you get minus points. You're helping him out here.
No, but he said the year, yeah. I'm just telling you which year it is. He said the year. I'm just telling you which year.
Arey, but
I'm
this
saying
is the answer. It's part of the answer, and you're giving him the year.
The hat tricks are 2. The hat tricks are 2 for sure. Now the team is, I think, Bayern and Atletico or Bayern and Wolfsburg. But it is 2 hat tricks for sure. That's what I think.
Mazhar?
I forfeit this question, man. I forfeit this question.
Krishnan gets the point. It's 3. Okay, but none of you got the season. So Krishnan gets the point for that one. It's 3 Champions League hat tricks in the 15-16 season. It's against Malmo, Wolfsburg, and Shakhtar Donetsk.
But I said
Nine.
2014-15, what? I said 2014-15.
You said 14-15. Yeah, I know Malu wants the points for mentioning the team. Okay, so for your final question, all right, I think Malu can pull one on Mazhar here because I'm going to make it a 2-point question. Okay, Paolo Maldini, great UCL heritage. All right, how many titles and how old was he when he won his last one?
I'll say 3 and 37 because I'm the one who'll know the least for sure. But 3 and 37.
I think he must have won Milan. I think the history they won 7, nah?
Milan has won 7. Milan has won 7.
So if Milan has won 7 and Maldini played like donkey years for Milan, I think at least won 2. And if he's won 2, what age? I think he must have been around 32.
3 and 37, 2 and 32.
Dude, he's
3
won
and
5
37.
Champions League titles.
Go for it.
And
Yep.
so Milan won the last one in 06-07. So I'm assuming he was 39 or 40.
2 points to
He's-
Mazhar. There is no question about this. He was 39 years old when he won his 5th Champions League title in 2000.
He's won 5.
06-07. Yeah, he's
Won
won.
5?
Whenever Milan won, he won.
Five?
He's
Yeah.
won 5. In the modern
shit.
era, he won all.
Damn.
Oh
bro.
man, 5 Champions League. That's crazy.
He retired at the age of 41. He has
Yeah,
been
I
around.
know. I remember he retired
I
at
never knew there's someone
41.
who's matched Ronaldo. I thought Ronaldo was the highest at 5. I never knew there's Maldini also at 5.
I think there is another player who has 6, but that includes like the European Championship. So we are ending this quiz with Mazhar on 5 points, Rishabh on 1 point, Malo with 2 points. All right, very expected result. Sorry guys. If I were on the other end, I know I would finish with like 1 or 2 points at best. But thank you so
This
much.
is
for
lies, huh? These are lies, Gui. These are lies.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, thank you so much everyone for tuning in to this episode where we were largely at conflict with even each other. To everyone who was watching and listening,
Shubham.
do drop your suggestions in the comments below because we would love to know what you think about the Super League. the new Champions League format even, and for any suggestions for episodes in the future, you can catch all our episodes on our platforms, all audio platforms and 3 video platforms, if I'm not mistaken. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming in hot into this debate. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you next time.